Don't these people coming to get their equipment off the sidewalks? Or what? Is this just what they do? Jesus.
Still standing, but last week, green shoots of hope appeared. The Hawaii Department of Land and Natural Resources posted a video showing the beloved tree sprouting leaves. The wildfires that ravaged Maui killed 97 people. A signature event in upstate New York drew nearly 20,000 visitors over the weekend. That was the Moon Festival, hosted by New Century Films Company, featuring traditional Chinese performances and authentic Asian cuisine. This year's event was the largest ever, with over 200 booths participating. Let's take a look.
It's very interesting. There's a lot of new things that I'm learning about the culture.
Colorful lanterns in a giant Moon Palace float drew in locals from diverse communities, showcasing the beauty of Chinese culture.
This year, many Western friends came, and I see that they particularly enjoy our traditional Chinese culture. As a Chinese person, I feel especially proud.
It's wonderful. A lot of great food, a lot of nice people. We're having a great time.
The two-day event was filled with rich entertainment activities, attracting a large number of people to watch and take photos. 40 booths delighted visitors with global flavors.
The lo mein and the barbecue. Skewered chicken.
Scallion pancakes are awesome.
New York State Senator James Skoufis and New York Assembly Minority Whip Carl Rabenek presented awards to the event. Skoufis echoed the tagline, "Kindness is cool," from a new online platform known as Ganjing World.
Kindness is cool. We need more kindness. We need more love. We need more thoughtfulness.
The event is getting immensely popular. You're really providing a great community, family-oriented event. We were happy to celebrate with you.
Other officials, including Congressman Patrick Ryan and the Orange County Legislature through Majority Leader Thomas Fagione, sent over proclamations recognizing the Moon Festival. NTD News, New York.
They spoke of building the wall and enforcing law at the border. And on foreign policy,
our relationship with Israel will be stronger by the end of my first term than it ever has been, because we will treat it as a true friendship, not just a transactional tit-for-tat relationship.
I think it's absolutely in the national interest of the United States of America to give the Ukrainian military what they need to defeat and repel the Russian invasion, so Russia doesn't cross the border that we have to go fight them someday soon. I believe that's the way we prevent World War III.
And back home on protecting religious freedom.
It's a threat to religious liberty. It is a threat to liberty of every kind in this country. Make sure that everything from State Department to DOJ is in line in protecting these kinds of religious freedoms.
At the end of the day, how are these messages landing with Iowans?
I just love the energy that all of them brought. I loved that there was a consistent theme of faith is important, family is important, securing our borders is important, balancing the budget is important. There's so many issues on the table, and I appreciated that all of them were willing to address them.
I'm undecided, but my favorite part about being in Iowa and First of the Nation is having this chance to get this close, interact with them, shake hands, maybe ask them those more direct questions and see what they say.
They really put a lot of effort in here. Most of them are going to each 99 county, right? And for all of us to feel like we have a seat at the table, that we can make a difference, that's really exciting.
An excitement that's expected to grow as January 15th draws nearer. And while the GOP's frontrunner missed the event, former President Trump will be making his own campaign stops in Iowa in just a couple of days, and we'll keep you updated on that. In Des Moines, Iowa, I'm Stephanie Cox, NTD News.
Excuse me, but how am I supposed to get down this walkway with these things in the way? Huh? Gotta answer that.
Called obscene content in reference to things like drag performances for children and the use of LGBTQ inclusive flashcards to teach colors to students.
That's right.
Well,
Twist it around.
Apologized for her own behavior, coming at a recent performance of the family-friendly musical Beetlejuice showing in Denver.
I
wouldn't say it's equivalent to grooming children, but that's just me. And look, of course, you could argue it shows a lack of decorum. It's not polite behavior. And you could also say it's, there's some hypocrisy involved coming from a strong advocate of conservative values. In my personal opinion, though, this is just another case of fake moral outcry being done for political reasons and distracting the nation from the things that actually do matter, like runaway government spending, crime waves, the border invasion, or, the Biden impeachment investigations, the ones looking into whether our elected leaders have been selling off policy to U.S. adversaries. Where's the outrage about that? Now, a general reading of reactions online suggests that this is actually the broader sentiment. Sometimes the comment sections and reactions to news pieces actually give a clearer reading of what actually people care about than the news pieces themselves. And if you go on Twitter, for example, and see what people are writing about, it seems like they don't care either. At least most, other than establishment news outlets and commentators, who don't like her anyway, basically. Many people question why we can get night vision video footage of a representative having a touchy date in a theater, but we can't get security footage of, elite child trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's death in a prison cell while he was under protective custody. People want to know why the Beetlejuice performance she was attending seems to have better quality surveillance than the U.S. Capitol building with the still mysterious pipe bomb incident on January 6th we've heard so much about and seen so little on. How do we know who touched Representative Boebert's chest during a date, but we do not know who left the cocaine in the White House? Now, many who made accusations about Representative Boebert having a double standard are themselves being called out for double standards. People, for example, dug out older tweets of critics defending similar incidents, oftentimes much worse, on their side of the political aisle. Others pointed to photos of gay pride parades where men, grown men walk nude and give explicit performances in front of children. There were the burlesque shows for kids. Others pointed to the allegations of Barack Obama smoking crack and being a homosexual. Discussions switched to the grooming and the castration of children through the school system. In other words, people have been desensitized to the conventional scandal. Massive scandals are getting swept under the rug by the media establishment, and when they try to drag out something that might have been a big deal back in the 1950s, it just doesn't carry the same weight. People are starting to care a lot less about the usual moral outrage, and they're a whole lot more concerned about things like, the destruction of the nation, the turning of races against each other, the waves of violence and theft, the destruction of the basic livelihoods of Americans.
Really?
And then there's the Me Too Brigade, the scandals of men accused of rape or indecency, often with cases over a decade or several decades old, with no evidence oftentimes. Now, of course, rape is terrible, but the concern is that it's become just another political tool, ironically undermining the real cases, and just another way for political actors to destroy the people they do not like. Now, this came to the surface recently with actor and online news host Russell Brand. He's being accused of rape and sexual assault. Now, he refutes the claims, and of course, we'll see what comes out from this. We don't know yet if he's innocent or guilty, but people are noting the political trend this appears to follow. Online news host Viva Frey posted a list of famous people who have faced accusations like this and suggested it's being done against people seemingly who just oppose the establishment or challenge the prevailing narratives. Some point to others who've been targeted by the outrage mob. Julian Assange at WikiLeaks, whistleblower Edward Snowden, Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, James O'Keefe, Gina Carano. The very, very long list goes on. And it seems like it's all the people who challenge the establishment. We've seen how many of his cases turn out. Many allegations prove to be fake. Others have glaring political bias, and on the other side of politics, well, it seems like people get away with just about anything. Whatever happened to the 3 women accusing Bill Clinton of sexual misconduct? How about the sexual harassment fund for Congress, where it was found that American tax dollars were being used to pay off people in settlements? You might remember Politico defended it in 2017, stating that the sexual harassment slush fund isn't just about sexual harassment cases. It said the money covers all sorts of settlements, not just for sexual harassment. And some lawmakers cut their own side deals with the accusers. I don't think that makes it okay, but that's just me. Now, notably, Congress changed those rules in 2018 so that lawmakers now have to pay settlements out of their own pockets. Generally, though, the issues become more about politics and a whole lot
Now,
less
who was
about
president
actual
in
abuse.
2018?
Fake allegations of rape, harassment, and racism. It's all starting to fall on deaf ears because the issues seem like they don't actually matter anymore. But instead, because many people are abusing the system, it has turned into lynch mob politics. The accused are guilty until proven innocent. And sometimes it's even worse. Sometimes they're stained by the accusations for life, even if they are found innocent. And the media tends to ensure that happens. It's the new Inquisition, guilty by accusation. Now, people have also had other things to care about. We can focus on someone calling another person a mean name, for example, while acts of serious violence are being swept under the rug, with suspicion that the stories just don't fit the political narrative sometimes. For example, a video went viral recently, filmed by two teenagers. They filmed themselves on a joyride in Las Vegas. They laugh and they joke about running a man over who's seen riding a bike, and they crash into him. His body smashes into the windshield. One of the kids turns the camera to show the man lying motionless on the street. Now, the man who was retired police chief, he was killed. People online were quick to note that if the races had been reversed, we would never hear the end of it. It was taken as another case of a story getting swept aside, seemingly, because it does not align with the agendas of the political outrage machine. And remember, there's also a push to censor X, formerly known as Twitter, because racism is supposedly on the rise, but for some reason, we're also told that some racism should just be ignored. Again, the suspicion is that it's only racist if it is deemed politically useful by the people pushing the narratives, and if it's not useful, they hide it. And while we're told to focus on mean words, well, the race narratives have been used to defund the police. The men and women tasked with guarding us against crime have had their hands tied behind their backs. And what's the effect? Crime is rampant. People are dying unnecessarily. Criminals are being given a green light. Even the NAACP is blaming the defund the police movement for allowing criminals to abuse innocent people. In July, for example, in Oakland, it called for a state of emergency on crime, and it stated, failed leadership, including the movement to defund the police, our district attorney's unwillingness to charge and prosecute people who murder and commit life-threatening serious crimes, and the proliferation of anti-police rhetoric have created a heyday for Oakland criminals. If there are no consequences of committing crime in Oakland, crime will continue to soar. And they're arguing that black Americans are some of the biggest victims of that, by the way. So look, mean words matter, but only if they come from the enemies of the political establishment. Theft and murder are apparently less important than race politics. Sexual allegations, they're scandalous, but only if you're on the wrong side of the political aisle. It seems like none of the narratives are really about what we're told they're about. But a reading of public reaction to all of this, well, it shows something interesting. People see through it. The media campaigns and mass hypocrisy is no longer working. The scandals are often being flipped, and we're seeing, for example, they're going against the people who make them. The accusers become the suspects of an agenda. And with this, well, the machine of political outrage is now dying. Now, in other news, America lost one of its F-35 fighter jets. The pilot allegedly ejected, and the jet flew away on autopilot. We'll talk more about this after the break.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. Not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount, and that's how easy it is. And I did this to my father. We were at home. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire? Only you can prevent wildfires.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 75,000 procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Welcome back, and we have some updates. The U.S. military initially lost one of its most advanced fighter jets. An F-35 was last seen near Charleston, South Carolina. The pilot ejected, and the jet allegedly went into autopilot. The military had even asked the public for help in locating the $80 million stealth jet, and now debris of the jet has been found. So what's happening? Here to speak with us is Ronald J. Reichlak. He's a distinguished professor of law at the University of Mississippi and an Epoch Times contributor. Hey, Ronald, thanks for being here.
Hey, Josh, great to see you.
So I'm curious your thoughts. The debris has been found of the missing F-35 fighter jet. What's happening with this? I mean, was this a problem with the jet itself? What do we know about it so far?
Well, they really haven't disclosed very much about the cause that required the pilot to eject. I was reading accounts all over. Some accounts were maybe it's still flying. People talked about UFOs seizing it. But apparently there's debris now found very near where the ejection site was. I was astonished to see that they were asking for the public to help find it. I mean, you got to figure that they spend a little time before they would make a request like that before you do it, but they obviously wanted to find it.
It seemed like an odd move to me because I would assume they would know that our adversaries would latch onto that. You know, they were wondering also why they couldn't find an F-35, and they were asking, they're asking for tips. People were wondering, well, is this about, for example, the military not being able to use satellite imagery? Is it the stealth of the jet? What did we hear about the reasons why they couldn't find it and why they were asking the public for help of all people?
Well, yeah, it may have been a little more stealth than we even thought, but it's designed to be something that you cannot track on radar. It's designed to be very difficult to keep up with things like that. It's from the most expensive, the Defense Department's most expensive weapon system, and apparently there was a device, a function on the plane itself, which supposedly would have helped keep track of it, and it was part of the malfunction. So a combination of designed to be hard to find and a malfunction, and the most expensive plane we have disappears. Fortunately, it looks like no one was killed, but certainly an embarrassment. I think it's I would be embarrassed having to ask people to find my car.
Well, some people are using this as a sign saying, oh, look at how weak the American military is. I know that Russia and China, they were trying to latch on to some of the reports of the weaknesses in the F-35 and the F-22 for a long time. I don't know what your thoughts are. My personal feeling with that was they were trying to criticize the systems because they were trying to make us not build them, to be honest, and trying to make our allies not purchase them. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, do you think that was a disinformation campaign trying to stop our allies from getting these jets? Do you think there were actually problems with them? And, how do you see this fitting into all that?
Well, I think obviously there is some. Anytime there's an opportunity to make the other side look bad, seize things, discourage Americans, encourage opposition, they're going to take those kind of opportunities to do it, and that shouldn't be a surprise. I think that the machine itself, we do have to. We got to get to the bottom of what happened in this case. Why we had this situation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So the Marine Corps, they allegedly grounded their other F-35 fighter jets. Any thoughts on why they did that?
This one?
For 2 days.
St. Charles.
I assume it was
North Island.
Insecurity in knowing.
The other one was at Moreland Avenue.
Might that be widespread throughout the fleet? Might there be an attack going on? I think you've got to concern yourself about all those possibilities. In all likelihood, we're going to find out there was just some malfunction in this one particular plane. But I think it was logical to say, all right, let's step back, let's take everything down, and probably the right call to do there.
Ron, I know you've
Moreland Avenue overpass.
When it comes to the propaganda
northbound.
war, in terms of Russia launching propaganda attacks on the U.S. and I think the battle of perception. And this is a side of warfare a lot of people don't understand. When I see things like this happen, sure, we lose $80 million, and thank goodness we didn't lose the pilot too. But for me, this is going to have a big impact on the propaganda war. I know the American military is being attacked right now. Given they're making some choices I don't agree with in terms of policy, but still it does play a big role in terms of how we recognize them, based on morale, based on whether people choose to join the military, sign up for the military, and other countries, they use this strategically. How do you see this fitting into, for example, Russian propaganda against the U.S.?
Well, you understand it's going to play two ways. It's going to play in Russia, perhaps there'll be some discussion about, how America is not as prepared as it should be. The greater impact from this particular story may well be within the United States, causing Americans to doubt, our leadership, our military abilities, our equipment. You can't see this story and not have some of those concerns, and that impacts us, and that's serving the Russian disinformation and campaign is to discourage Americans.
The old demoralization, right? Well, Ron, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Josh, thank you very much.
This guy keeps burning stuff down here. See the can?
At an event in Los Angeles where Democratic presidential candidate RFK Jr. spoke. The man has been arrested and booked on a felony gun charge. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
Adrian Polispiro was taken into custody by Los Angeles police around 4:40 p.m. after they received a call about a man claiming to be associated with the event. He allegedly had a U.S. Marshal badge and a shoulder holster with a gun. The event was being held at Wilshire Ebell Theater, celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month. Presidential candidate RFK Jr. spoke at the event.
The homeless in California are not coming from other states. They are almost all coming from California, many of them from neighborhoods where they formerly lived in a home.
Kennedy found out about the arrest after his speech. He wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote, "I'm very grateful that alert and fast-acting protectors from Gavin Day Becker and associates spotted and detained an armed man." On Monday, Kennedy's office released an open letter to President Biden urging him to provide Secret Service, which has previously been denied. The letter says, quote, "The threat level to our candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is increasing every day. And I ask you in the spirit of patriotism, of fairness, and of good conscience to grant Robert F. Kennedy Jr. the Secret Service protection that his circumstances so obviously warrant." According to U.S. law, Secret Service is tasked to, quote, "major presidential and vice presidential candidates and within 120 days of the general presidential election." Reporting in California, Jason Blair, Entity News.
Coming up, when couples don't get their finances right, it could lead to divorce. We speak with experts on how couples can manage their finances efficiently and harmoniously. And in the NFL, the struggling Cincinnati Bengals are 0-2 to start the season and might be without Joe Burrow for the next game. We'll have that update and more when we return.
This guy keeps burning stuff down here. See the can?
Impaired credit, financial infidelity, failure to save for emergencies, retirement shortfalls, impacts on children, legal problems, mental health issues, relationship strain, limited financial independence, and divorce.
The ones that we see just right off the bat is just the stress, debt problems spill over to, accumulation problems, to saving problems, and then, cash flow problems. And before you know it, it really starts to create a real strain and stress on the marriage.
Brian Cannon is CEO of Cannon Advisors and the author of Retirement Unplanned. He says it's important for spouses to come together to plan things as a unit rather than as individuals. This involves creating a budget, a debt strategy, a vacation plan, and an emergency fund, and doing it together, and ultimately using the same bank account.
We have a lot of clients that come that have been married for 40 years that still operate independently. But I think, there's a higher level of success when you're able to merge.
Cannon and his wife themselves started off with separate bank accounts, but he says there's a better sense of where your finances are when there's only one. A key part of this is trust, which is built up over time, and communication, which preferably should take place through
talking, not texting, not on social media, actually sitting down and having a conversation. And quite frankly, the sooner they do that, the better they're going to be and stronger as a couple.
Larry Sprung is the CEO of Midland Financial and the author of Financial Planning Made Personal. Sprung says spouses should discuss what they want individually and then find common ground.
If one of the spouses has a situation where they enjoy spending a lot of their discretionary income, right, versus the other spouse who may be more inclined to putting away the majority of their discretionary income for retirement, those two goals are not necessarily aligned. Now, one may not be right and one may not be wrong, right? But the whole idea is to have that conversation, and maybe it's meeting in the middle.
Sprung emphasizes the importance of having these conversations. He says they're the key to avoiding a plethora of consequences. Yuki Shi, NTD News.
And now for your sports news, we bring in
people. It's heartbreaking. They'll use the money for malign purposes.
A senior administration official says the freed Americans will be reunited with their families and receive recovery assistance. The planned swap coming as world leaders meet at the UN General Assembly in New York. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox 5 News.
Colorado, you can feel the electricity.
Well, Deion Sanders apparently has that prime effect. How several stars showed out to watch the Colorado Buffs go to work.
All right, Stella had a Grammy Award-winning producer held a unique event this afternoon to help prevent Metro Atlanta students from being involved.